Da, 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 da. All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. If you watch my show regularly, you know that on my birthday a couple of months ago, I had the honor of spending it with Dr. McDougall and his family. Well, turnabout is fair play. And so today is the birthday of the legendary Dr. John McDougall. So I have the honor of spending it live with him. But before I introduce him, I have a couple of guests on two different continents who so appreciate Dr. McDougall's work. They lost an extraordinary amount of weight using his protocols, and it's actually in the middle of the night for one of them, and they would like to wish him a happy birthday. So I hope you don't mind, Dr. McDougall. So all the way from Australia, are you there, Andrew?
Hey, Andrew.
Hi.
It's a long time, my friend.
Yeah, how are you?
Oh, good. You're looking great.
Hey.
Thank you. You too. And yeah.
Well, that diet doesn't cause you to grow your hair back. I can tell that.
I just growing this hair instead.
No, mine's going away. So maybe there's something wrong with my diet. I don't know.
Well, it's fine by me.
I'll have the potato look. What do you think? Pretty soon.
That'll do. Yeah, it's you are what you eat. Maybe I'm starting to look like what I eat.
Well, you're looking great. I hear wonderful things about you and the help you've given the people from down under.
Thank you, and I wanted to thank you as well, and a happy birthday, and just share a little memory for everyone watching. Was I had a little moment where I realized that food addiction was my problem, and I wanted to quit food and try to find a single food that I could live on while quitting everything else. And in that moment, I decided to look Google search what's the perfect food for human beings, and of course, a little talk by you came up, and yeah, and without that little video to sort of spark my curiosity and send me down the rabbit hole of doing my own research on nutrition, yeah, without that, I don't think any of my story would have happened. I think that idea would have just died right there and then if that video didn't show up. So on nutrition, I've got a lot to thank you for, and yeah, my life wouldn't be what it is without that. So I think that's the biggest thing from my point of view, is that no doubt you've helped a lot of people directly with your advice and all the great work that you've done, but you've also created a lot of people like me and like AJ, and so many people that we're then helping people in our own ways as well. And so yeah, your reach is huge, and I'm very, very grateful.
Well, thank you
so much. And Dr. McDougall, it's 2:00 in the morning for Andrew, so
yeah.
that I really appreciate you getting up. And you're so right, Andrew. It's on Dr. McDougall's shoulders that we all stand. So I thank you so much for popping in to wish him a happy birthday.
No worries. Thank you again. Thanks for having me, AJ, and happy birthday, John, and hi to Mary as well.
All right. Good to see you. It's been too long, Andrew. We got to get together.
Yes, I would love to. I'd love to. Have a great day and enjoy this.
Thank you so much, Andrew. And now from the continent of South America, we have another gentleman who lost quite a bit of weight using Dr. McDougall's protocol. And I think we're going to get him to actually play a little song on the piano for Dr. McDougall so that we can sing happy birthday. We have the cake right here. Unfortunately, as Dr. McDougall pointed out, there's really no way for Dr. McDougall to eat this. But luckily, Robert Cheek is in the neighborhood and he'll be able to enjoy this. Hey, Gustavo.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey,
hi.
Man, you're looking good too. It must be that South American food, huh?
And the sun, yes. Well, thank you, Dr. McDougall. It's a privilege for me to say thank you and to say happy birthday, because many people like me, thousands upon thousands, would probably not be alive if it wasn't for you. It's so thank you. And thank you for those wonderful years that we had with our webinars. I got to know you professionally and personally as a person. And I want to tell everybody that you're not only a most wonderful doctor, but a person too. And I feel very lucky to have spent time with you. So
I appreciate our friendship too.
So AJ asked me to play happy birthday for you. And before that, I want to show you that today I'm having your favorite lunch,
Oh, good.
mashed potatoes and corn.
Great.
So that's what I'm going to be eating while I watch the rest of this broadcast. So, and I do have this memory that I treasure in my phone here.
Oh, sure.
That's the trip to Hawaii when we were going down that river, and I thought, well, I probably won't live to tell it, but we did. So it was.
Well, that was...
Okay, so I am not a great singer, but I will play. Oh, I'm wearing your. It's the food.
Oh, great.
Sure. Okay, here's happy birthday for Dr. McDougall, and virtually we can all join in and sing. Hey Jay, how about if I sing it in English and then in Spanish?
Sounds good.
Okay, here we go. Happy birthday, Dr. McDougall. Happy birthday to you. Que los cumplas feliz. Que los cumplas feliz. Que los cumplas, Dr. McDougall. Que los cumplas feliz.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
I don't think I've heard you play before.
Okay, that's.
We were always so busy doing things together, you know, putting out these great webinars, and yeah, it was fun to have you come to the clinic, and I'm glad we helped you. And of course,
It was, yeah, I am positive I would not be here today. At least in this form, I might be disabled. I don't know. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that decision that I made to attend the McDougall program live. So thank you.
hey, that's nice of you. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I'll remember our days in Hawaii too. We used to do these adventure trips where we took somewhere between 80 and 140 people around the country, around the world actually. And we did our last trips in Hawaii, and Gustavo was part of that experience. So we have so many fond memories. I can't tell you. It's been great.
Thank you so much. Now, Dr. McDougall, did you know that this was a surprise party? Because I hope that if you
You totally surprised me. I thought we were just going to get on and we're going to talk about protein.
Okay, good.
I did not tell him.
Well, thank you. I couldn't have coordinated without Mary, Dr. McDougall.
All right. Well, that's good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I hope you're not too disappointed. You can always come back and give a presentation anytime. But we have about 20 more guests that want to come on.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, I'll just sit here and be quiet. Thank you very much.
so I'm going to let them in, and I think you're going to like them because they really like you. And here we go. And let's see, we're seeing them in the waiting room. We have your friends, we have your colleagues, and we have people whose lives you saved.
All right.
I don't see them yet in the waiting room. So let's see, Dr. Barnard, are you there?
You bet.
Hey, Neal, how are you doing there?
Hey, John. Hey, Mary. How are you?
I'm good.
I sure hope you're recording this.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you too.
Do you have any funny stories or memories of Dr. McDougall, Dr. Barnard?
Well, I mostly just want to say that John and Mary have both been so inspirational to me and frankly educational to me, because I came into this not knowing much of anything, which means to say I was out of medical school and out of residency, and you don't learn much of anything about nutrition there. And John and Mary were in Washington, D.C., I'm going to say mid-1980s. And I spent a lot of time just listening to John and recording him, his comments and answering my questions and that kind of stuff. And then I'll never forget, late one of those afternoons, I asked if they might want to come out and have dinner with me. It was a little presumptuous on my part. But John said, I can't do it. I got to be on the air. And he had to go to WAMU, which is our NPR station, the biggest station in DC. And he was going to be on the Fred Fisk show, which was the show everybody listened to in the evening. It was the NPR talk show that everybody listened to. And John had been on there many times, and they were big fans of his, and so they brought him back on for an hour. So I said, okay, fair enough. And I'm listening to him during the broadcast. And there's a million questions, and everybody's got all these complicated questions. I thought, how can one human being have just sort of this cerebral encyclopedia that can respond to all of these questions with the latest research? And then at the end of that hour, the host said, haven't done this before, but I need you to be on for one more hour there. Just the phones are just lit up with so many questions. And John said, okay, sure. Let's do a second hour. And at the end of that hour, he'd been on for 120 minutes. The host said, this is absolutely unprecedented. I need you for a third hour. So anyway, so at the end of, 120 minutes, John was still going strong. And I thought that is a role model of knowledge, really humility in the sense of just wanting to have the truth come out there, and the most incredible honesty of just any researcher, physician, clinician I've ever met. So anyway, forgive me for these verbose comments, but John and Mary, I just love everything that you have done, the way you've helped me personally, but also helped so many other people who have come to your center, and people whom you have never met because they've read your books or seen your broadcasts and things like that.
Thank you, Neal. And, whenever I describe Neal to my family or friends, I always say this is a man of great honesty and integrity. So why I say that is I have to say it must be true. I'm got to be that wonderful.
You are, John.
All right. Well, I've enjoyed our friendship, Neal. I have to say you made as much difference as anybody I know in telling the truth. And, telling the truth is something that's not so common these days, but we got to keep doing it.
Lots more to come.
Thank you so much, Dr. Barnard. I really appreciate it. So if that's not enough, we have some other legends that are in the waiting room. I'll bring them on
I'm ready.
And we have many people
hopefully they're friends.
I know. Well, I think that I don't think they'd be here if they weren't friends and didn't think so highly of you. And please feel free to share any memory you have of Dr. McDougall. We have lots of people watching live, and of course this is being recorded. We have someone who many people consider really the father of lifestyle medicine. Please welcome Dr. Dean Ornish.
Hey, John.
Hey, Dean.
I'm proud to call you a friend of many decades, which to me is the biggest compliment I can give someone. Friendship to me is really everything, and love. And you're the only person I know who's been doing this work as long as I have. You've been always decades ahead of your time. And like Neal said, you're kind of like the Bruce Springsteen of this field. Who'll give a 4-hour concert. That you're just indefatigable in your pursuit of truth and service and truth, justice, and the American way. You've inspired a whole generation of healthcare professionals and researchers, and continue to do so, including me. And as Neal alluded to, you've been uncompromising. You're unafraid to speak truth to power. You have unassailable honesty and integrity. Sometimes it can really rub people the wrong way, but sometimes people need to be rubbed the wrong way. So I could go on and on, but I just want to say a deep bow of respect to you, and love and friendship. And I think your best work is still ahead of you. So I look forward to seeing that.
Thank you, Dean. That's really an honor. And we have been good friends. And, I would agree that Dr. Dean Ornish is the pioneer that will be remembered for the 20th and probably 21st century, as far as bringing truth to the American public about diet. And it's a privilege to be your friend.
Thank you. I remember being with Atkins at the Department of Agriculture years ago, and it almost turned a food fight into a literal food fight, but things got under control. So thank you, John. And like I say, I really think, as amazing as your work has been, that your best work is still ahead of you. So thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
I tell you, I feel so good at 74 that I'm not even thinking about quitting. And I didn't know. It's that saying that if I knew I would live this long, I would take better care of myself. And fortunately, I did. Enough so that I'm looking forward to a continued career and take care of people, and also the issues of environment, which I know Dr. Ornish and Dr. Barnard are both very interested in is trying to save this planet.
Well,
We
especially
save enough people.
after losing your home, in part to global warming. And by the way, I want to just acknowledge Mary as well. This is your moment in the spotlight, but we could equally spend as much time talking about you, Mary, and all the amazing work you've done as well. So,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Well, we got a lot of work ahead of us. So far, the guests you brought my way are the ones that I'd like to have in the Army that wins this battle to save our planet.
Yes, and each of them could have their own party. If they'll tell me their birthdays, I'll throw them one too.
All right.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ornish. Really appreciate you stopping by.
my great pleasure.
And it's like we're going to just have one legend after another, and who is more? I mean, it's just like this is like if this was baseball, this would be like the all-star team. Next, we have from Dr. Michael Klapper, who I think is about your age and has been doing this about as long as you. And he's also wearing a blue shirt today. He looks amazing. Hi, Dr. Klapper. Thank you for being here. Do you have any funny or embarrassing stories about Dr. McDougall?
Oh, he should. He's known me long enough.
Really? John, I became vegan in 1981, and it didn't take 12, 18 months later. By 83, I'm getting bombarded with questions from people across the country. Is this a sane, reasonable thing to do, to recommend a plant-based diet for raising kids and pregnant women and people with heart disease? And I think it's okay, but I really didn't have any authoritative foundation to make those statements until someone put this thick book in my hand called McDougall Plan. And there it was, all laid out as far as how to actually do this remarkable way of eating. But I still had this need for medical information. And then the heavens opened and some angel dropped into my waiting hands McDougall's medicine. And there was case after case of people with hypertension, diabetes, and rheumatoid arthritis. And here you are, not only explaining how plant-based diets help these conditions and even reverse them, but it was chock-a-block full of scientific references. And I'm saying, thank you, God, that a board-certified internist is saying these profound truths. And that gave me such confidence, put such wind in my sails when I would get up and either address an audience or one-to-one counsel with my patients. Your confidence, your enthusiasm, well, it's still fueling my confidence and my enthusiasm. The Texas Rangers have a saying that there's no stopping a man who knows he's right and keeps on coming. And boy, have you personified that over the years, your confidence, and there's just no stopping because you know you're right. And I've watched your scholarship blossom, your newsletter, your website are national treasures. I refer to them many times during the week for authoritative, reasonable rationalizations for plant-based nutrition. And it's been such a privilege when you've asked me to actually take part in some of your programs, either your immersion programs for the public or your professional programs for our colleagues. What an honor it's been to work with you on that level. And though you've been laser focused on the effects of nutrition and plant-based nutrition upon the body, but in recent years, all of us have witnessed this beautiful opening of your heart and your words. I think the arrival of your grandchildren had a lot to do with it, but you've opened to everything from the plight of the animals to the plight of the earth. And as a fellow scuba diver, a fellow pilot, I know you see this earth and love it like I do. And it's just been beautiful to see your concerns being expressed clearly and lovingly as you do. So, John, this is a time to wish you a happy birthday and give you a gift. But, John, you're the gift to all of us. Your friendship, your leadership, your scholarship, has made me feel so much less alone as a physician. To be a physician at this time in medical history and have a colleague like you next to me, ahead of me, leading the way, has made me feel not only less alone, but far more effective and dedicated. So thank you to you, my friend, and I wish you another wonderful year filled with health and happiness and joy and peace, and know how loved you are. And so I'll just add my birthday wishes to that and tell you I love you too. So thank you, John. Have a wonderful year and a rollicking birthday celebration.
Well, thank you, Michael. And if you folks knew how much time Michael and I have spent together and what a great productive friendship we've had, you'd appreciate how valued I feel Michael is, and all of the people. One of the things you said, though, that's kind of interesting, and some of the criticism of my technique, like I'm laser focused, and I never changed my story. And that's the one, like even my son, who's a board certified intern, he says to me, Dad, you wrote the same thing in the McDougall plan that you wrote in the starch solution. And I said, of course, it's, the truth is the truth. And other people have criticized me. Why don't you go along and modify your diet and make it different? Well, I found a statement, Mary would read it for us, that really reflects how I feel about it.
This we found through it's a Christian rapper, and his name is Lecrae. And he made this statement. And people say I talk about the same old thing. The reason that I sound the same is because the truth don't change.
So you guys are getting tired of my message after 44 years. I'm sorry, but the truth don't change. And, I certainly appreciate all the kind words from Dean and Michael, Neal.
Everyone's heartfelt.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary. Happy birthday to you too. For all you've done to keep him happy and healthy and teach us all. So I love you both.
Thank you so much, Dr. Klapper. It was actually recently Mary's birthday, and Dr. Klapper, of course, thank you so much for all you do. Actually, every guest that is coming on today does something special in the world, so thank you as well. So Dr. McDougall, you know how you've said before you'd rather be hated than ignored?
Yes.
Well, today you're just going to be loved, because everybody here, I think there's about 25 people, has nothing but love to throw at you. And speaking of love, it kills me that we only have a few minutes with each guest, because I want an hour with all of them. But this next gentleman, and he is a gentleman, and he's like you, he's just so handsome and just so eloquent, and he has done so much for so many. Please welcome Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn.
Somehow I knew that's who it was going to be. When you say handsome, gentleman, I mean, who else could it be but Caldwell Esselstyn? Hey, S, how you doing?
John, what an incredible moment for you. This is just great. I'm really honored to be a part of this opportunity to wish you this happy birthday. It brings me back to 1980. No, excuse me. Yes, it was 1983. I had just finished a bit of global research, because I was convinced that I was going to do a study on nutrition. But boy, was I confused and bewildered. And suddenly Anne came in one day and presented me with this book, The McDougall Plan. I said, Jesus, this guy has really got it together. And suddenly it gave me the kind of confidence and structure that I needed to pursue our initial study. And it's interesting. The late Walter Lippmann used to say that the touchstone of sanity is the truth. And boy, has that ever personified your approach to this whole study and challenge of nutrition. It's something that is so admired by so many. And what is, to me, so remarkable is that you have never relented. Now, of course, you've always been a shrinking violet. But despite that, you've been able to carry on, write all these books, see all these patients, change all these lives for the better, and been a leader for many of the younger patients, and a leader for many of the younger doctors, and even a leader for some of the more senior doctors. So John, I can't tell you how honored Ann and I have been when we've had the opportunity to present at your program in Santa Rosa and at the famous Flamingo. And I hope that continues to endure. And we really look forward to seeing you and Mary as often as we can. And I know that you're going to have an absolutely stupendously marvelous birthday. And what could be better than to have all your friends salute your tenacity of purpose. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yes. And probably one of the most memorable things for me is when you had the confidence to bring your entire family to Costa Rica on one of our adventure trips. I got to know, many of the Esselstyns, and we had a great time. We've had so much fun together. It's and as you've said, let's not stop. Let's just keep moving forward.
Dr. Esselstyn, you know how Dr. McDougall always says that really a lot of his success is because he had Mary. Would you say the same thing as because you had Ann? And if she's there, we'd love her to say hello.
Hello. And hey, Mary, you and John are the ones that everybody else has stood on your shoulders from the very beginning. Happy day.
Well, we started this very young. We had an opportunity, as Dr. Ornish did, and either directly or indirectly from mentors that precede us, and you need to know about these people, like Roy Swank and Dennis Burkett and Walter Kempner, and these are the pioneers that we stand on their shoulders. Nathan Pritchard is probably the most important person in my life. So I'm glad that Mary and I have been able to pass a message on to people, and I'm really pleased to see how much it's made a difference. And the people you brought here so far are people who started right along beside me, and we're all on the same track. It's just like I remember steel was invented in the U.S. and in Europe at the same time. The inventions come at a time, and the time is here to speak the truth. It's not been easy, but it's here.
Well, Dr. McDougall, when you're paying tribute to a legend, you need other legends to wish them happy birthday.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Ann and Essie, for coming on.
Welcome.
Thanks. Is that a Kuna print pillow by you by any chance? Because I recognize that from South America.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because I have boots like that. Thank you. I hope to see you guys again soon. Now, speaking of legends, Dr. McDougall, there's one more legend that's missing. Do you have any idea who that is?
Yeah, I do. I have a pretty good idea. Hopefully, it's one of my best friends throughout all of this. And
well, is Colin Campbell? Does Colin Campbell fit that bill?
Yeah, he does. He wrote the China study, which is it's what they say, it was the Indianapolis 500 of studies or something like that. The
Grand Prix of all theological studies. Please welcome Dr. Colin Campbell.
And he was kind enough to come on my radio show, pretty much unannounced. He was a big shot professor at Cornell, dealing with this general doctor in California who wanted to have him on the radio show, and that's where we met.
Hi,
hey, can you hear me? If so, you can't see me.
We can hear you, but we can't see you. We saw you a minute ago, so make sure your camera's
there. We go. Hey, John and Mary, it's really an honor for me to sit here and wish you the best. And also, I'm bringing good tidings from Karen as well.
Oh, good.
She's sitting here just on the side. You actually have meant a lot to me. I just heard what S was saying. Me too. But, I've got some personal stories too I could share with you that really meant so much. Namely, you opened up your place in Lake Tahoe on one occasion. We spent a weekend there. That was fantastic. We didn't know each other that well, but fairly early in the game. And then later, I stayed overnight at your place twice, actually. So, on the human side, I really, really appreciate that. And I remember going down into your basement, John, and I was kind of early in the game as far as, going out in public like this sort of thing. And I went to your basement, all around the ceiling, you had these shelves. And you had all these papers, just stacked up on the shelves. As a disc guy, he really knows what he's doing. And so I was impressed throughout. And you're quite right. I think I was on your radio program twice. And that was a real delight as well as I was excited about that. And here's one more thing. See that thing on my wrist?
Oh, you still have it?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I've been wearing that thing. You know, there were 13 of us in our family came down to Costa Rica on that occasion. And my son and I, we wore it the whole time, all the years since. What year would that have been? I've forgotten.
Oh, probably the early 90s.
Yeah, it's quite a long time. It's never came off.
We had, so every year we'd go on 1 or 2 adventure trips. And the reason is because people complained about going on a cruise and gaining 10 pounds and they just couldn't vacation and have fun. And but plus the nice thing about these adventure trips is you met so many like-minded people, so many nice people. And yes, both you and Dr. Esselstyn were confident enough in what Mary and I had to do to bring your whole family to Costa Rica for a vacation that we'll never forget.
Yeah, neither has our family forgotten either. We often hear about the trip that we were able to go on thanks to you guys. It was really fantastic. You know, on a little more professional side, one of the things I'm delighted to say to you, John, is that you tell it like it is. You don't hold back. You're not a shrinking violet. I know that's kidding. But no, I always really like that. Somebody who speaks out, you know, what's on the plus or minus, whatever it is. You had no fear of expressing your opinion. I think that's a treasure. I think it's a fantastic treasure. So Karen and I just wish both of you the very, very best, as I say, for this birthday and for many more to come yet. So it's really a real honor for me to sit here and tell you that. You meant a lot to me.
Well, thank you. I always give you and Dr. Esselstyn as examples of how well people can do, how functional they can be, how good they can look, how active they can be, and how much they can contribute. And a whole decade later than I am, and maybe when I turn 84, I'll have as good a health as you have. I certainly hope I do. So you have been wonderful examples of good health to the public. It's not just, you know, it's not just writing a book and coming up with some brilliant ideas. It's a matter of looking the part. And one of the things that you will notice is that if you look at the people who follow our philosophy or close to it, they're all thin and healthy. And you look at the people who teach low carb diets, keto friendly diets, Atkins diets, and they're very sickly people, overweight. There are a few exceptions, but not so. So I would say that all the people you've introduced so far, in addition to having some very nice things to say to me, speak loudly of what a healthy diet can do for you. And it's all the same program that we teach, very similar.
Well, Dr. McDougall, there's hundreds of people watching live that are posting in the chat, which you probably can't see right now, how they've lost hundreds of pounds and lost weight and just reversed their diseases through following your program. And Dr. Campbell, I love how you said Dr. McDougall is not a shrinking violet. I think he's actually the opposite of a shrinking violet.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
You know, AJ, I was raised by parents just like Colin Campbell was, you know, parents with integrity, with morals, with honesty. And I can remember from my earliest childhood that my parents would say to me, Johnny, whatever you do, just tell the truth and everything will be okay. And I was a very mischievous kid, you can only imagine. But I've lived by that principle. I've always tried to tell the truth. Not that I haven't made mistakes, but I've tried to tell the truth. And I know Dr. Campbell was raised, we've talked about a family that had the same type of principles.
Yeah, that's it. I remember a conversation we had along these lines some time ago, but my dad, for whom I was very close, actually, he used to say, when you get big, and that's what we'd say in those days, when you get big, he says, tell the truth, nothing but the truth, and the whole truth. Yeah. He reminded me of that several times. It's sort of been a beacon, quite frankly, for me, a personal beacon. So I could never stray from that advice. And you did the same thing. You did the same thing.
Yeah.
So again, the very, very best for many years to come.
Thank you so much, Dr. Campbell. You two are just a legend, and we love you so much and appreciate your work. Okay, so now, believe it or not, there's more people coming, Dr. McDougall, because people, as a matter of fact, the only people we couldn't get on is your family. 'Cause
Yeah, well,
apparently,
this is a total surprise, I have to tell you. I expected to come on here and talk to you about heart disease and menstrual periods and all kinds of things, the usual stuff we talk about. So this is a big surprise. And
yeah, well, I only wish I could do it in person, but Mary, thank you so much for helping me coordinate this. I couldn't have done it without you. And so we have someone now who, my success is attributed to you, Dr. McDougall, but it came through somewhere else because I just couldn't quite get it from you or reading your books. I had to have it explained to me by somebody else. And that person is none other than Dr. Doug Lisle.
There. Oh my goodness, what a great bunch of people to get to see. I wish we were all together. Well, what can I say? It's ridiculous what an unbelievably fortunate thing it was for me to have my friend Alan find John McDougall. And so I remember reading the McDougall Plan, the big yellow book, and just thinking, wow, this is it. And this is the story. And I can't believe how fortunate I was to read it young and know exactly what direction to go. And then amazingly enough, then 15 years later, I get to go to work with these people in this family. pretty storybook. That's when you're a kid, like that's how things are supposed to work out. And then when it does, it's pretty amazing. I have just two. I know there's a lot of people that have a lot to say, so I just have two McDougall moments out of so many I could share, but there's two that I'll always remember. One of them was a Christmas Eve, and my dad was not doing well, and he was at True North, and we had actually called the paramedics because he was having a hard time breathing, and there wasn't anything for them to do. He kind of got through whatever it was, and then I was worried enough. I don't know what happened, but I must have called Dr. McDougall. I must have, and because probably to ask him a question, and he said, "Well, I'll come over and see him." I mean, it was unbelievable. And a half hour later or so, John McDougall himself walks through the door with his stethoscope and sits down and listens to my dad's heart, talks to him on Christmas Eve, people. It was unbelievable. That is, my dad was, calmed down, listening real carefully. It's kind of a funny thing to watch your old man turn into a boy right in front of you, like, okay, this is the real doc, and I better listen up. And he did well for years after that. John later told me, boy, your dad was in bad shape. It's like, yeah, he was. But that was the conversation he needed. So that was, of course, unbelievably special. The second McDougall moment I'll remember is lighter. And that was, it was in the early 2000s, John organized the filming of a lot of us. And so it was a big McDougall weekend process. And I was nervous and I hadn't been filmed. And so John just said, "It's fine, they're fine, you're ready." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not ready." And so this kept going on in my head. And finally he said, "Listen, don't worry about it because you're going to shoot all these again in a few years anyway. So you just do it now and then you're going to do it again later. That's just how it works." I'm like, oh, okay. And so I went up there and I did my thing. At the end, I said, "Okay, well, for the first time that went pretty well." And he says, "You'll never do those lectures again."
Well, why would you do it again? They were perfect. Oh man, Doug, so you did it right the first time.
That just cracked me up. I filed that away as a little. That's one interpretation, John. The other interpretation was just get up and do it. It's anyway. And I learned later, I had a friend of mine that was, he said in the record industry, I told him that story and he laughed. He said, that's actually the oldest trick in recording. A band's is kind of stressed and the guy says, oh, you guys just riff for a while, you know, don't worry about it. We'll turn on the tape later. And then they riff like crazy and they're like, oh my God, that was so good, but we lost it. The guy says, no, I was taping the whole time. So anyway, that's those are two jewels of a total string of pearls for my life, John and Mary both. Thank you so much for inviting me into your world.
Thank you very much, Doug. That evening with your dad, I'll never forget it. He was in very big distress, and it was a very simple thing to get him out of distress. But the nice thing was how enthused your mother was about taking care of Dad.
Yeah.
What a partner that he was. And in fact, she was so willing that I dragged her to the grocery store afterwards.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, right. And I dragged her to the grocery store and made her buy the different things I wanted her to feed your dad.
Yes, that's right. That was amazing.
Yeah.
I had forgotten. I'm glad you reminded me of that. I remember that well.
Well, you had a great family. And, I'm glad I was able to help.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, John.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lisle. Dr. Lisle, you're a psychologist and you know a lot about personality. Is Dr. McDougall as scary as I perceive him as?
No, he is not at all. He's actually just sort of warm and logical and straight, except he's punctuated by moments. Like when you see him at the McDougall program all week, you see how warm it is and it's friendly. But then, you know, when you see somebody cross him, somebody says something, you know, that unfairly attacks either his own or his ideas, and then you see it. You got the Scots warrior all ready.
I'm learning a little bit of social grace. You know, I'm trying. I figure, you know, actually the truth is I figured when I get old enough and decapitated enough and compromised enough that my opponents will finally come out, because I have been a little rough on them. And but there's a day coming, folks, when I won't have these abilities to speak and to remember facts and so on. So just wait around. And you can embarrass me on stage in 10 or 20 years. But not right now. Right now, I'm still in charge.
You're in charge, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those of you that are staying on from previous groups, please feel free to chime in when you have something to say. But it's so true what Andrew Taylor said, Dr. McDougall. It's like, you would have created an army because you can't reach, I mean, it'd be great if you could reach everyone, but all the people that follow you, and you're going to have a lot of people coming on the show later that are known as influencers that are taking your work and reaching even significantly more people, different generations, things like that.
Okay.
That's a good time for me to say bye-bye.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Dr. Lisle. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you understanding everything that you could
You know, you need to know that I describe Dr. Lisle in just very specific terms. He's the best psychologist in the world. And he's brought such a practical approach to our patients rather than putting the blame on them. He's taught them why they make decisions that they make. And what a fresh point of view and what a positive point of view to help people. Thank you, Doug.
Oh, that's all mine, John.
Okay. So we have two people that I think you'll remember. I think they actually either interned with you or did programs with you, but they are just wonderful plant-based doctors. Please welcome Dr. Matt Lederman and Dr. Alona Poolday.
Sure. my second family.
Happy birthday, John.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Matt.
So good to see you, Mary. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Good. You guys, we haven't talked in too long. So
yeah,
I need to kind of follow how you're doing. Really, I would have to say that Matt and Alona and their lovely daughters are some of the closest non-family members that we have. We've gone along with them as they've grown up and, you know, still stay involved in their lives. It's been fun.
Yeah. We knew you before they were even, before you were working with them when you were even pregnant, right?
Yeah, before we were even married.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
been a
right.
while.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was pulling up and as we were thinking about today, the email that I sent you, I still have from about 15 years ago. And I was where I was an unhappy doctor at Kaiser. And the first thing I just noticed was that you got back to me in hours as I'm looking at the times. Like, I was like, that's John. You know, he gets back to everybody so quickly and said, hey, come on up and spend time with us. And it was just amazing when I was there with you and I have my stack of books and I'd ask you a question and you would say, you not only answer it, you would say, go look at this book. And then you would say, I think it's on page 106. And I'd go and I'd look on page 106 of his 10 books, and it was exactly right there. And I was like, how does this guy remember where, like, the page number? I'm like, does he have a cheat sheet? And it's just all in there. And I was so much respect in how much I learned from you and how to treat patients differently. And also to the point that you were talking about, AJ, before, where, you know, your lecturing is just big and powerful and dynamic, and then I see you in the room with patients, and people don't get to see this unless they're a patient of yours, but this heart that just soft and loving and caring. I mean, it's just so clear how much you care about people. And it's just been just a fantastic role model for me as a doctor and as a person. And I just so grateful for having you in my life, one of the most important people in my life by far, and has changed who I am. And then not only that, when my daughter was sick and I called you and I was scared and I just started to get sucked into the medical business, and I called you and you said, Matt, you know, don't do that. You know, you heard everything and I just trusted you, and we almost went in that way, got sucked in, and sure enough, we didn't. And my daughter's thriving, couldn't be healthier than ever. And that could have been such a downward spiral. So
all of a sudden,
it was just so, you impacted my life and my family's life in ways that I can never.
On this thing with
do it justice, like over the call here. So I just want you to know how important you are to me and my family and my life.
Well, thank you. And we have as I started this conversation, I have a great fondness for you and Alona and the girls, and you know, we're never getting tired of being grandparents. So anytime we could extend that kind of relationship, we do, and having your family around us is pretty close to having our own fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been fun for us.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at you both, and I just feel such warmth in my heart and such love for you both. I mean, you did really change our lives in so many ways. You reminded me what medicine was about. And, you know, I'm saying this and I feel the tears coming because, you know, my dad died when I was younger, and you are the person who stood up equivalently on the pedestal and have been a father figure because of who you are, because you are so strong and knowledgeable and passionate, and at the same time tender and caring and loving, and you're one of my greatest role models, and I love you both, and I'm so grateful you've been in our lives, and happy birthday.
Thank you. That's very nice.
Thank you.
Your words are kind, and I hope people can see the sincerity of the relationship that we've had with all the people. I've had some wonderful relationships, and you're meeting some of the friends that I've made along the way. One of the things well, anyway, it's been a pleasure getting to know everybody, to say the least. Next.
Well, you know, Matt, I mean, Dr. Lederman, I appreciate what you said about Dr. McDougall in the email. It's like, it's practically, he responds before you even push send. And I saved the very first, I'm looking at it now, the very first email correspondence I had with Dr. McDougall, Monday, February 25th, 2008 at 7:35 a.m. And I had written him, asked if I could present in one of his programs. And it sent him a video, goes, "Dear AJ, you are very talented and personable. We would like to have you work with us." And that was like 13 years ago. And I always save that email.
Well, thank you, AJ. I do remember that we got you started again, and you've just taken with a little spark we gave you and turned it into a huge fire that saves so many lives. Yeah. And you know, when we first met, people don't know the story, but you know, you were at a crisis, and to get you back on stage with all the talent you had was one of the things I look back as a great accomplishment.
I owe everything to you.
In the world.
To me, like, you're the Johnny Carson of the plant-based world in so many ways. And really, you gave me, you gave me my start or my restart. And really, that's why I'm just I'm just so appreciative. That's why we're doing this party. So thank you so much, Dr. Lederman and Dr. Polday, and appreciate you coming on. And again, everybody's welcome to stay if you like and chime in if they have something. I see Essie's still in the waiting room, but we have somebody who I know that you admire because you once told me that, because about Dr. McDougall telling the truth, when I was early on, I was getting offers and I'm like, I don't know about this person. And you said this was a fine person, and he is a fine person, and he's done great things in the world. Please welcome Dr. Hans Diehl.
Oh, Hans. Oh my goodness. I'll tell you, they really reached for my friends with Hans. We've been together for, most of these people, we've been together with them for 30 years and plus. And Hans is one of the earliest friends that I made in this business.
Well, happy birthday to you, John. And it's so nice to seeing both of you there, and that we can let you know what you have meant to all of us. You have been the most reliable, scientifically trained nutritionist in the world, period.
Thank you, Hans.
You're very reliable. If I had some questions, I knew the answer would be coming right away. And they usually would come very, very quickly, usually in 2 or 3 words. Go there, go there, go there, and that's it. So I remember that I was actually up at St. Helena when you were up there. And I had been training up there. And that's how I got to know you. And it has been a wonderful, about 30, 40-year journey. And you are very, very much admired. Your books are treasures. And you have shown not only the science, but you have also shown how to express it, how to put it on paper, how to deliver the lectures, and how to let people know that they can do it.
Well, that's a lot coming from the man who developed the CHIP program, which changed probably more lives than anybody else around the world through Hans Diehl's work. And
well,
I have to make sure that people understand that these compliments come from some very important people, and who've made a huge contribution themselves. And Hans, of course, if you don't know about Hans Diehl, take the trouble to find out what he's done. Thank you.
I tell you, one of the special moments for me has been your videotaping of Nathan Pritikin.
Oh, yeah.
That is a historic moment. You have captured this man more than anybody else, maybe the only one that has captured him that completely, and has helped people to understand that many of us, whatever we have been able to do in life, we have stood on the shoulders of that man who was an iconoclast.
Yeah, he was very important in a lot of our lives. And if he wasn't directly, he was indirectly very important, Nathan Pritikin. And I was able to I did the only lecture that was ever videotaped of Nathan when I was in my late 20s.
Yeah.
And I also had a chance to get his research papers. And there were only 50 copies made. I don't know what happened to the other 49 copies, but I got one copy. And I took that copy to a copy place where they turned it into PDF files. And that entire document is on my website free.
Mm.
And I have to say, Hans, I didn't necessarily get permission from all the right people. So there may be folks that object. It's been up for about 4 years. But it's such an amazing work. And you can see where, all of us. But then again, you can go back from Nathan Pritikin, you go back to people that he stood on their shoulders.
Yeah, Kemper. Yeah. Sure.
The truth has been around for a long time. It's been opposed by a lot of people. And so anybody who declares originality, they're just joking. They're kidding themselves. We all work together, and we do stand on the shoulders of many people.
And when you think about it,
I'm sure Dennis Burke was a big influence on you too.
Yeah, true. When you think about it, in those days when Nathan Pritikin did this work in 1965, 1975, in those years, right? No computers.
Yeah.
No computers. You go to the library and you go to the medical index medicus.
Yeah.
Step by step. So, I mean, I feel very, very fortunate that I had a chance to work with this man. And, my eyes were opened, just like you have opened up eyes everywhere around the world as the conscience of a medical profession that has lost its moorings.
Yeah, it's a shame. And I thought that my colleagues would be thrilled to understand why their patients are sick. And of course, the response has been basically ignoring us. I'm sure everybody that we've talked to here, it's a matter of mostly ignoring the message, not confrontation, not trying to sort out the truth on stage or in the medical literature, but it's you could get ignored by these people.
But you know what you and Mary have done over the years? It's beginning to.
I see that now, Hans, and I have to say, I hope people don't take this the wrong way, but I would come home from shows like the Larry King Show and the Donahue Show, and I'd come home a bit depressed when I visited my parents. And
yes.
My dad, of course, was a huge part of my life, and one of the things he said, when I was so upset that I didn't make any difference, I thought I made no difference at all. He said, son, you have no idea. And now I look back and I see that he could see it, that the things that you and I and the rest of this team have done have made a huge, huge difference in this world. And it's just a matter of the truth doesn't stop growing. It's just a matter of it, continue to be accepted by people, and the benefits are there, and nobody doubts you'll get well by our approach.
Actually, John, you and Mary will never know all what you have done. I mean, I remember being on a cruise ship, and we had a special plant-based seminar there. And one of my special guests, faculty, was Dr. Heydrich. And she was telling me the story that she was on the boat only because of you, because she said, if it wouldn't have been for Dr. McDougall, I would probably not be alive today. She told me the story of how you helped her to go to your medical records on breast cancer. She followed that. She followed on the guidelines on osteoporosis. And today she's still around.
Yeah, she's
doing great.
Yeah, and Ruth Heydrich, of course, is another person who picked up the message and in her own way.
Yeah,
She's a person who has no medical knowledge or dietetic knowledge, but she's a personality, and she's a marathon and triathlon runner. And she took her skills and communicated around the world, and has made a big impression. That's kind of what I'd like all of you who are listening to think about, is you have some skills. You can write, you can sing, you can, you have whatever, raise money, whatever. You have skills, and you can be part of this movement by taking and incorporating these skills into the movement. So you don't have to go back to medical school or dietetic school to be a part of this. Everybody has a role to play, and of course the stakes are really high.
Well, thank you, John, for being so clear in your message. Thank you for being sometimes really unconventionally honest in helping people to understand. That is your legacy, really. Thank you so much for being my friend.
Thank you, Hans. We have a great mutual relationship. What these folks are trying to tell you is that I'm a real pain in the ass. In other words, what happens is I get an idea when I think I'm right, and I demand an explanation as to why I'm wrong, and I just kind of dig my heels in and prove me wrong, or at least start the conversation. And unfortunately, as I said, I mostly get ignored, and that doesn't help anybody. But I have a personality that obviously some people find interesting.
Well, we love you the way you are, Dr. McDougall. And Karen, who's watching live, says, how are we going to top this next year for your 75th? So I've got a whole year to plan that. And I want to thank Bernadette for her super chat donation. And this has turned into a real love fest, which is great. But man, if anybody has any dirt they can dish, start thinking about it, because I want to hear some stories. Maybe Mary will have one. So now we've done so many of your colleagues, but now what we have, Dr. McDougall, for this portion are people. So now we've done so many happening. So maybe mute yourself if you're not actively talking. So we have people who are whose either lives you saved, or who have started successful YouTube channels because they've lost weight using your protocol. So as I see them, I'm going to welcome them. Again, guys, please mute yourself if you're not actively talking, because we're getting a lot of feedback. And when as I see them, guys, I'm going to have to ask everybody please to mute themselves other than Dr. McDougall, because we're getting a lot of thank you guys so much. So where is everybody?
You lost our whole audience.
I see one. I see Melissa Alexandria. Dr. McDougall, I don't know if you love this lady. I don't know if you even know this lady. I love this lady. She's a very successful YouTuber. She's beautiful, and her name is Melissa Alexandria, and she's going to tell you how your work has influenced her.
I don't recall. So.
No, you don't know who I am, but I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you've done, and Mary as well. Happy birthday. It's surreal even speaking with you right now. I'm honored to just even be included on this birthday celebration. I just want to let you know that I'm basically someone who absorbed like a sponge every single one of your webinars with Chef AJ and Gustavo. And when something rings true for you, you just feel it on the inside. And I just put it all to work in my own life. I lost over 35 pounds. I feel the best I ever have. And I just thought, how come everyone doesn't know this? How is this, you hear it and you're just like, oh my goodness, this is it. This is why everyone is suffering and struggling. And it's simple. It's something that people can do with this. And, and so I just try to share what you've done and kind of pass that along to new people. And I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you've done.
Well, that's great. I'm happy to hear that I've helped you, and I'm happy to hear that you're out there spreading the good news. We need a lot of people. I don't understand why people don't get it either. When I first discovered this back during my medical residency, I thought that there would be people lining up from the Honolulu International Airport to my office. The line never showed up. It's a tough sell. And I don't know all the reasons why. And I've asked Doug for all the reasons why. And he's the best psychologist in the world. He hasn't been able to tell me. So we're still working on it. Why in the world do people do self-destructive things? And again, the stakes are really huge these days. It's not just a matter of you dying of heart disease or brain cancer. We've got a world to save.
Yeah, well, the ripple effect of your work is going to continue on for who knows how many years and decades. And, think about it. Someone's going to find one of your videos next week and they've never heard of any of this. They've never heard of the starch solution, and it's going to set them on a path to transforming their life and their family's lives. And I just think that's an amazing thing to watch. So again, thank you so much and happy birthday.
Thank you.
So Dr. McDougall, since we couldn't get pretty girls to jump out of a cake, I just brought a few of them on you on this show right now. And the next
what makes you think I like pretty girls? I got one right here. I'm saturated by pretty girls. To tell you the truth, I still like pretty girls.
Yeah. Well, then
we're not going to talk about that.
Well, our next one is absolutely beautiful. She has a YouTube channel that just exploded, and she has lost so much weight eating the way you recommend. Please welcome Plantiful Kiki.
Hi, Dr. McDougall. I just want to wish you the happiest of birthdays. I am so extremely honored to be able to do this. Your work obviously completely changed my life. I have lost 70 pounds and it's completely changed not only my life, but my family's life. And I just cannot thank you or your beautiful wife enough.
Well, and it cost you nothing.
And it cost me nothing.
Yeah, and that's just the thing that Mary and I, from the beginning, we felt like this is such an important bit of information that we can't sell it. We have to give it away. And of course, the truth is, back then nobody would buy it, so we might as well give it away. But nowadays, we have an obligation, and I know that the folks that I've talked to, you folks feel the same way. You have an obligation to share with other people. And
absolutely.
Pretty much everything we do is free. We do have a 12-day live-in program, not live-in, it's not live-in anymore, it's internet program. We do telemedicine, and so we're in a position to help people with medical care, and it's just extended. Actually, COVID-19 was a real plus for us. It changed us from a residential program that was expensive and difficult to get to a program where we have right now we're running a program that has a lady from Scotland, another lady from Austria. We have people from all over the world that attend this program, and it's a real plus.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But it's all free on the website. It's the point I was trying to make. It's you got it for free.
Yeah.
Who's interested.
That's the first thing I do is direct people straight to your website, that they can find everything on your guys' website. So I'm extremely grateful for you guys, and your guys' commitment to keeping things simple, I think, was the number one thing for me to be able to be successful as a busy mom. Keeping it simple really is everything. Yeah.
That's good. And you being a busy mom, you know, one of the more difficult things for people to do is to change their diet when they're pregnant.
Yeah.
But and of course their children's diet. You know, people will say I'll do anything myself, but I'm not going to do this with my kids. It's experimental stuff. But your kids are your kids are obese, overweight. They have diabetes. They're constipated. What do you mean you don't want to do this for your kids? And when it comes to pregnancy, pregnant women are sick too. They're overweight. They gain 60, 80 pounds during the pregnancy. They can't deliver their babies, so they have to have C-sections. You know, this is a real insult on the people who emotionally are so important to us, and that's mothers and children.
Yeah.
You can damage people, old people like Mary and I, but you know, to do this to our children and our pregnant women is just I don't know. It just, nobody sees it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, my kids, since we switched several years ago, they haven't been sick in years. They haven't gotten a cold, nothing, none of us actually. It's completely life-changing. My kids' health is out of this world. So I am extremely grateful.
Well, I wrote a letter, was it Rick Santos from Florida, put out a rule that all doctors and dietitians had to submit to the state any known abuse of children. And so it's one of the newsletters that you can look up that's on my website. And I wrote a whole letter about how we were abusing children. They're obese, they're constipated, they're arthritic, they have headaches. And the abusers are, you know, they're firemen and teachers and, you know, well-meaning people. They just don't understand. And of course we have all the industries that are profiting from this, but people just they don't understand what they're doing.
Right. Right. Yeah. People ask me all the time.
I never got Rick Santos to write me back and tell me that. No. But I was licensed in the state of Florida to practice at that time. So I told him I'm a licensed doctor, and you can find that on my website. I told him I'm a licensed doctor, and I got a serious case of child abuse to report to the state of Florida. Never answered me.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? People ask all the time if my kids complained and whined, and they absolutely did, but it didn't stop me. So,
well, we have the advantage of raising our children and grandchildren this way, so they don't know any different. We just had my son's kids over. They actually left about 15 minutes before we started on the show, and they eat Dr. McDougall's soups, and they love the food, and
it's
actually,
amazing.
Even at 9 years old, the little girl is an animal rights person. She just can't believe that people would eat animals. Of course, we don't discourage that type of thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's wonderful. Wonderful. Again, thank you guys so much. I am so grateful. Happiest of birthdays. I wish you all the health and happiness in the years to come.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kiki. And thank you so much for taking a stand for your children. So many parents would just let them eat crap, but you don't. So I really appreciate that.
Yep. It's not an option in my house.
And the kids like good food. You know, they like pasta and marinara sauce. They like bread. They like, you know, naturally they like these things. Just like last night, our grandson Logan, Grandma, what are you going to fix for dinner? She had an enchilada casserole made for her and I, but he said, no, I'd like to have potatoes. And so that's what he had last night for dinner. He had potatoes and anything else?
No, he just ate this big, huge plate of potatoes.
Yeah, well, you know, this is their food. They love it. And of course, we realize that it's not only sufficient, but it's superior nutrition to live on potatoes as opposed to dairy and meat. It's terrible. But that's hard, you know, for parents to become confident that this is okay for them, you know, themselves, particularly in times of pregnancy and for their children. I understand it's really hard because you've taught so much the opposite, and it's hard to go against the norm and what everybody believes. You know, there's a lot of guilt out there if something doesn't go exactly right. And there's a safety in being with the majority, I guess, but even if it's wrong and destructive and deadly, I guess it's safer.
Well, Dr. McDougall, I always recommend parents just get this signed for their children because this is how it was in my house.
Take it or leave it, yeah. Well, it's the way that
Two
our
choices
kids,
for dinner.
yeah.
You take it or leave it.
our
I
kids,
love
all
it.
our grandkids are raised that way too. They just, basically this is what you eat. This doesn't mean they never have anything a little on the rich side. They do when they go out to friends and so on. But at the homes are clean. That's the way I would encourage you to do it. Make your home clean, and then they have no choice. Believe me, we don't bring chocolate ice cream, even if it's non-dairy, in our house anymore because it's just a disaster.
That's all me and Dr. Lisle have been telling people for years now, but they just don't want to clean their environment.
Yeah,
So excuse me. I just want to thank John for the super chat donation. Dr. McDougall, we had a lot of your colleagues on. One of them is running a little late, so we're kind of interspersing it, but we have here a lot of people whose lives you saved because they actually had diseases. And it's funny because Dr. Hans Diehl mentioned Dr. Ruth Heydrich. She is here. Zena Alam is here. We have Esther Loveridge here. We have the Nelson family here, and we have Linda Middlesworth. So if you guys want to unmute yourself, any of you can go first. And again, you're allowed to talk even if it's not your time.
You're talking about some really important people in our lives, and we're grateful that they're willing to come forward and even make an association with us, much less give these nice comments. You dug deeply to find all of our friends. I think you got them all.
I think I did. And, people are saying this is like the Oscars. This is like the Academy Award of plant-based. It's really like it's like every single person on the show I just love and adore. So yes. So, I see that Jeff Nelson and Sabrina Nelson are unmuted and Linda's unmuted. So Jeff, would you like to go first? I know you guys have spotty internet, so let's catch you while we can.
Hey. Hola, estamos en Mexico. We are in Tulum, Mexico. We just got here. John, Mary, John. Happy big day, man.
Feliz cumpleaños a ti.
We love you guys. You have had so much impact on our lives and the lives of everybody in our family and so many friends. The laundry list is like you helped Sabrina learn how to reverse her autoimmune disease. You let my mom figure out how to cure her eczema. My dad had a widowmaker heart attack and he came back because of you. My kids, and my daughter's acne, they got rid of, all about that. Another relative who had prostate cancer. I mean, you have had a huge impact on saving the lives and the hearts and the emotions from so many people I know. And
Okay, quiero hablar. Estamos en México. Hablo en español. Gracias para mi vida. Thank you for my life. We are here because of you.
Yeah.
Well, I have to mention.
So, John, we love you. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. And we don't want to hog it all, but.
Well, Jeff, I just have to comment that Jeff Nelson and I have very similar personalities.
Oh, yes, you do.
Care. And Jeff has worked with me to make some pretty outlandish video presentations on YouTube. And I don't know that many people would join with me, except for somebody like Jeff Nelson, who, like I say, just doesn't care. He just wants to tell people. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Sabrina.
Well, Jeff Nelson is also a Taurus, and that explains it.
Well, so, we've had some fun, and we're going to create more trouble.
Good,
thanks so much. I love the Nelsons too. We play games together, and that's one of the things I miss about LA. Thanks, guys, for hopping on. So, Dr. McDougall, we have one of your colleagues. He joined a little bit late because it's early for him, and he is somebody I learned about from you. And I've been trying to get him on the show, and he never emails me back. But then when I emailed him to invite him to your party, he did email me back, and I adore this man because he speaks my language, calorie density, and maybe he'll have a funny story about you. Because is it true that he bought your practice for a whole $1? Please welcome all the way from Hawaii, Dr. Terry Shintani.
Terry worked in my office as a medical student, and when I left Hawaii, he was kind enough to take over my practice for $1. Yeah.
Dr. Shintani, I can't hear you.
Oh, wait, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hey, John, how you doing?
Just great, and I'm always happy to hear how you're doing in Hawaii.
John, I kind of lost touch with you. I guess you had to move.
Well, we did. We had a relocation event happen, and that is that the October 2017 fires in California.
Right, that's what I heard. Yeah, yeah.
All our material things, but it didn't take anything important. And
Yeah,
seriously,
well-
I have to tell you, Terry, and I know you can relate to this and the other doctors, is even though we lost everything and there was a lot of sympathy that came out, you know, I had to not only tell myself, but those people around me that every day I get a letter from somebody that has suffered a worse tragedy than us losing all the material things in a fire. And so, you know, our problems were minimal. They resulted in some very positive things. And I certainly wouldn't want to go through it again, though. It was a pretty tough time.
Yeah.
Well, John, you know, you gave me a great start in my practice, and I'll always be grateful for that.
Thank you,
And
That
well,
was
let's just
that was 1980. Probably that was 1985, wasn't it, Terry? It's a long
is
time.
around there. Actually, it was. I got my nutrition degree in '87, so I came right back, and I actually worked in your office before then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, we've been friends and colleagues for a long time.
Yep. But you gave me a great start. You were a fantastic role model, and I'm always going to be grateful for the way you helped me get started in my practice. And you know, I'm still doing that. I'm still doing, and people are still, and the thing is, people are still astonished that I can get them off their diabetes medicine, their blood pressure medicine, their cholesterol medicine. And what I tell people, you know, what we do is simple, but not easy.
Well, Terry did a study, a very important study. In fact, it may have been published in several medical publications, and that is he studied the Hawaiian people who were very, very sick from adoption of the Western diet. These are people who enjoy great health, living on taro and breadfruit and vegetables and so on. And so the suffering in Hawaii is huge because there's such a large number of people who are less knowledgeable and less privileged. And Terry went in there and did a study and proved that these people were easy to cure with a simple diet. You can find his research if you put in Google and Terry Shintani, it's there.
And let me tell you, and this is part of, you know, my success is part of your legacy now. But just so that have you heard of Al Harrington, the actor?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Al Harrington, he still comes to see me, and he used to weigh like 340 pounds and the last time I saw him, he was like 195, and he's like 6'3".
Wow.
Wow.
And he joined my program, which is very much like your program, and I've knocked over 100 pounds off of him, and he's kept it off, and he's still healthy, and I think that's great. You know, I mean, there are many folks like that, and
I would encourage them to use their notoriety to spread the word. And as I say, everybody's got some talent and some opportunities. So, you know.
But let's stay in touch, John. Every once in a while, I think, boy, I wonder what John would do about this. And
that's great.
Yeah.
All right. And Terry also took over the radio show that I ran in Hawaii for many
years. That's right. Actually, I continued that radio show all the way till 2 years ago, and then the radio show bellied up. But I actually turned out to be the longest running host. I was there for 25 years. I kept it going. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Shintani, and please email me back. I would love to interview you. I love your work. I really appreciate you coming on. And since we're doing Hawaii now, we have two guests on in the waiting room from Hawaii. We have Dr. Ruth Heydrich, whose life you saved literally, and Lorraine from the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii wanted to wish you happy birthday. But first, I need to thank Oki Gal too for her generous super chat donation, and she writes, I owe my life to Dr. McDougall, and many people can say that. You know, Dr. McDougall, your reach is really so far and wide. I think I mentioned to you last year, I was teaching hands-on cooking at an exclusive spa in Mexico called Rancho La Puerta, and one of the gentlemen in the class came up to me and said, Dr. McDougall was my doctor in Hawaii 40 years ago, and he owed his good health to you. So you have no idea how many people you touch. So Dr. Ruth, if you're there, or Lorraine, you want to unmute yourself and wish Dr. McDougall a happy birthday. I'm still waiting for those stories, though.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we can hear you, Dr. Ruth. We can't see you. Is there a way you can turn your camera on?
Oh, wait. Yeah, didn't ask me about turning my camera. Okay. Oh, that's all it took. Okay, good, because I also wanted to wish Dr. McDougall a happy birthday. He saved
Okay,
me.
it's still not on, Ruth. So maybe Lorraine, since you're unmuted, you want to just do that while I work on trying to get her camera on?
Sure. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hi, John and Mary. Happy birthday, John. And we miss you here in Hawaii. So many times he's been so generous to the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii, you know, coming and speaking for us so many times, and want to just give you guys big hugs. And, you know, I talk a lot with Elaine, and she says, yeah, she and Jerry get together with you up there in Portland every now and then. So, yeah, it's kind of fun that our old Hawaii group is still around. And I have to say, personally, the first time I ever heard of you two was when my husband and I, Jim and I, were working in Miami Beach. And my mother would send me all these recipes from somebody named Mary McDougall. And then she sent me your first book, John, and I showed it all around the office. I was working in computers, and people would come up to me and say, well, you know, this guy's obviously a quack. And I say, why? Because it says that nutrition has something to, what we eat has something to do with our health. And I have talked to that person a lot since, and he regrets saying that now. But you're wonderful to my mother and father. My mother took all the classes and saw you, I think, as a patient. Her name was Barbara Sakaguchi. I don't know if you remember that. And my father used to go out to the car where my father would be waiting for my mother and say, you can come in too to the class. And he wouldn't, but he ate the food. And both my parents lived longer than any of their siblings. Nobody got into their 90s of all their siblings, but my mother lived till 92 in 2014, and my father to the age of 99, same year.
Right,
So,
that's
and that's because of you two. So
Well,
thank you so much.
You know, we would love to come back to Hawaii. It's we think of that as our home. We had our children in Hawaii. We, you know, developed our ideas in Hawaii. But in the meantime, because travel is so difficult, we'd love to do some presentations over the internet if you'd have us.
Okay, we'd love that, and we'd love to host you guys too. So let us know.
It's always been fun. We used to come over there maybe once a year, and the people in Hawaii hosted us, you know, in a very touching way. Of course, like I say, we think of Hawaii as our home because that's where
And
Mary
we
and I
think of
started.
you as one of our oldest friends there because, oh, by the way, a lot of the rest of you have been guests, so speakers, and we'd love having you all. Yeah, Chef H. And Dr. Klapper, oh, he's not here anymore. I wish, anyways, so obviously Ruth and Harry, because they're both here and still very active. Thank you guys. And well, hope to have you back again someday, Chef AJ.
I would love to. I'm not traveling anymore, but for Hawaii, I will make an exception for Hawaii because it is my favorite state. Thank you so much, Lorraine. And we have one more person from Hawaii. Hopefully her camera is on now. Dr. Ruth, were you able to get your camera on?
Yes.
Hey, Ruth. Well, you know, Ruth, you look the same as when I saw you, 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
You are amazing.
It was 1982 when I saw this little notice. You see this notice, 5-line notice, wanted women with breast cancer to participate in diet research study. I ran to the phone. I had just been diagnosed, and you saved my life, and I am ever so grateful. Now, do you remember this?
Yeah, of course,
Yeah, my ragged recipe book that got me started and keeps me going all these many years later. No chemo, no radiation, just the diet reversed the cancer and so many other symptoms. I also owe you my career as an author, because do you remember you kept after me to write a book?
Yeah.
You said, come on, have you started that book yet? And I'd say, John, no, nobody's going to read a book I would write. Come on, get going. So you even met me at the computer store and got me the program. So I owe you a lot, because now I've written 4 or 5 books, and I'm working on another one on breast implant illness. And hopefully still going strong. So happy birthday to you. And Mary, I owe you a lot too. And your whole family is wonderful. I'm just so happy that we got I remember when you lived in Kailua, across the street from my aunt, Doris. You might remember Doris. Yeah. So, okay, happy birthday, and thank you for doing this.
Ruth has been a longtime friend, and we've been able to put her out as an example of what a good diet will do for you. She showed you a book called Making the Change, which was a ring notebook. And the reason it was a ring notebook is because Mary would develop new recipes, and they would put them in the ring notebook or give them to the patients to add to their notebook. And we titled the book Making the Change.
Yeah.
Not Heal and Stay Healthy or Get Rid of Diabetes, but Making the Change, because we knew then, just like we know now, the hardest thing to do is to get people to change. And it's still the whole effort. Whether the program will work or not, it always works. You know, it's the most profound thing that could happen to anybody's health is to change from the Western diet to a starch-based diet, a traditional diet of people. And, you know, it always works, but can you get people to do it? That's the hard thing. And this is why all of the speakers, the people you've had so far in this presentation, which I very much appreciate, they've run into the same obstacles. How do you get people to do this? And, some are willing and some are, but again, the other theme I've heard is that the world is changing, and what we believe to be true, more and more people are accepting. In fact, I'd have to say there's nobody out here, and many more that I hear, that says that what we teach is not true. We've gone past that stage. They're at the stage where they're about to say, well, you know, people can do it, and it's important because it's true. And they're about to say, oh, we knew this all along. We've been teaching this for 20 years. Watch. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I mean, the important thing is that people understand this needs to be a worldwide knowledge base. People need to understand what people eat, just like you know what cats eat, and you know what certain parrots eat, you know what snakes eat. You know, what do people eat? Good grief, you eat anything, including all the animals I just mentioned. You know, there is a diet for human beings, and with that diet, it should be on the tip of everybody's tongue. You know, when you're in kindergarten, when you're in an old age home, you ought to know what the diet of a human being is. That's all we're doing is talking about the diet of a human being. Starch-based diet. It's a traditional diet. 99.99% of the people who walk this earth have obtained the bulk of their calories from starch. Rice in China, Asia, breadbasket of the world, the Middle East, South America, we're talking about potatoes. And, you know, it's always starch. You know it. Just when people became rich, they got fat and sick. Whether they be kings or queens or Americans, fat and sick. That's it. Always happens.
And Dr. McDougall, people are saying Dr. McDougall's work is the gift that keeps on giving. And I just had a very dear friend whose mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. I called up Dr. Ruth. She talked to the lady, calmed her down, didn't want to take any money from you. So you create people in your likeness when you give your gift. So thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ruth, for your work.
Thank you for your work. It's
hey, Ruth, I'm glad to see everything's going well with you. You're looking wonderful.
Well, thank you.
And,
So
and
you,
why
both
don't
of you,
why don't you tell people how old you are or young you are? Or whatever.
86.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's been a runner, run 2,000 marathons and triathlons, and really been.
Well, there are a bunch of trophies behind me. See
Yeah.
Look at all the trophies.
And that was after we met that you won most of those.
Oh yeah, all of them. No, before that, I was always just barely finishing. But the next marathon, after changing my diet, I took 17 minutes off, and it was hard to believe. And the recovery, that's the main point, is on the diet for athletes, you know, the game changers. I don't know that they emphasize, actually, I was the first game changer, the first Ironman triathlete way back in 1984, when I discovered how quickly you recovered. That's really big for athletes.
Of course, athletes these days, most of them know this, particularly endurance athletes. They carbohydrate load, and many have become vegans. It's really important, though, that people understand that a vegan diet is not quite it. You need to eat a diet that's based on starch. Otherwise, you have a problem that we heard about a minute ago, which is following a diet that has lots of green and yellow vegetables, you know, kale and broccoli and so on. You just never get satisfied. You can't stick with it. So it must be starch, as the traditional diet has been. I know people get upset with me, but that's just part of the whole personality thing. You know, as I see it, I say it, and I don't care what the consequences are. And when I wrote the book, The Starch Solution was published in 2011. You know, there were all kinds of people who said, look, you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. Why'd you put a potato on the cover? Why do you call it The Starch Solution? Well, you know, I think people will accept it, and they have. You know, to change the nomenclature, you have to start by using the nomenclature. And, you know, people are starting to understand the value of starch. Just in this week, I've gotten articles from Scientific America about how Neanderthals 100,000 years ago lived on starch-based diets. You know, the story after story after story, we're discovering consistently that people lived on starch-based diets. They did not live on animal-based diets, except in the extremes of environment. So hunter-gatherers we are, but gatherers were the ones that gathered the food. They, not the hunters. The hunters, we got a lot of glory, but.
Yeah, what they say, Dr. McDougall, vegan is just a word for bad hunter.
Is that right? I like it.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Ruth, if I can look like you in 25 years, maybe I will start running too. Thank you so much for sharing your story. You can find Dr. Ruth's story on my YouTube page and also many other places. And thank you so much for calling my friend. You really helped her.
Yeah, happy to do it anytime. My website, askdrruth.com.
You look great. Well, Dr. McDougall, we still have 3 more success stories, people who credit you with saving their lives. They've lost between 50 and 100 pounds. Next up is the Queen of Sacramento. Dr. Lisle would be the King of Sacramento, the lovely Linda Middlesworth.
Oh, Linda, how you doing?
Oh my God. Happy birthday, John. And
Thank
hi,
you, Linda.
Mary. I wouldn't be here without you. Over 30 years ago, my neighbor told me about you. She said, oh, that'll go away. Just look up Dr. John McDougall. And I said, who? Well, I went down that night, bought your book, was called The 12-Day Program. I read it from cover to cover. And then I sat down on the couch and cried. I said, I don't believe this, because you said, well, they started this way, this couple, and then they ended up over here, what you would do for them. And I thought, oh my God, it makes such sense. It hit me like just completely. I did it. I started right then. I started right then.
You just stood up and you got your bare feet.
Sorry, somebody wasn't muted. I muted them.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I wasn't perfect at first because I thought, well, it's vegan, so maybe I can eat it, right? I did the whole vegan thing for a while. And sometimes some oil would sneak in, but I did lose 25 pounds right off the bat. And then after I took off all the oil, then I lost the rest. So that made all the difference for me personally. But I just want to tell one story. I remember one time I had you as a speaker, many times, but one time you said, Linda, if you're going to charge people, I'm not coming. You're so generous. And I said, oh no, okay, I won't charge anybody. Well, I had to pay over $1,000 myself for the venue. I never told you that, but I would have paid $10,000 to get you there. So that's how important you are to me and to my clients. I have clients who I'm helping because of you. I'm not a doctor, but I help people get off their diabetes and their heart disease and their obesity all the time. And I just tell them to read everything on John McDougall's site. And we go from there. But it's you are the most amazing, incredible lifesaver
in this world, as far as I know. I wouldn't be here. I would have had that. I had thyroid cancer, heart disease, and obesity. I lost over 50 pounds. And I've never felt better. I'm still teaching aerobics, and I'm older than you are.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah.
know you were older than us.
Dr. McDougall, I got to tell you something. Linda is going to venture out, and she's going to do her first stand-up comedy performance.
Oh, God.
And I'm hoping that you'll all come. I'm going to be in the show too.
I'm doing it. You just said I didn't have to perform, AJ.
Oh, but now that we've announced it, I think you do. And Charles will be in the show too. It's May 23rd, Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
You are kidding me. Oh my God. Now I'm really afraid.
This is the only one we're doing for free. So hopefully you'll
I'm
join.
not funny. Mm-mm.
You're hilarious.
But anyway, I just love you both. And Mary, your potato enchiladas are still my favorite. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, I love those so much. I just can't get enough of them. And your recipes have helped so many people because they taste good, right? They taste good, and they're not too difficult.
Yeah, they're easy to make.
Yeah, because if they're too hard, I remember sometimes people look up recipes and they're this long and they get discouraged and they leave the whole plan altogether. So I love the simple idea. I think it was Melissa or somebody said that. But the simple, some days I eat just potatoes and a little broccoli because you said that would cover me nutritionally. So, you know, I just feel so good every day when I wake up and have so much energy. I'm still teaching aerobics. So I love it. I love you. I love you both more than you can know. I will always love you. You are just amazing couple and people. And you went through so much yourself with the fire, but like you said, that's just materialistic things. And you care about people and you don't mince words. I love that. Yeah. I love that you say it exactly like it is. You don't say, oh, if you do a little this and a little that, you just say, no, eat this way and you'll get better. And people do. People do. Thank you. I love you so much. That's all I can say. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Linda. You know, I always wanted to be the doctor where, you know, people may come back to me and say, you know, what you recommended, I couldn't do. It was too hard. That doesn't bother me at all. But I never wanted to be the kind of doctor where people came back to me and said, I did what you said and it didn't work. Yeah. You know, that would be too hard to take. And I want to put something in perspective here is that I mentioned some of my mentors like Roy Swank and Dennis Burkett, and Nathan Pritikin and Walter Kempner. You know, I knew these men pretty well, and I knew a little bit about their family. And even though these men were very smart, I mean, they were geniuses. They're described as
being muted, but I just see my photo.
Okay, you can't, guys, have to mute yourself.
All right, what I was going to say is that, you know, all of these men were really brilliant, and I relied upon their work greatly. But knowing them and knowing their success and their problems and so on, I had one thing that none of them had. And that was Mary. And I could tell people about what I wanted them to do and so on, but she was willing to get into the kitchen and make what we call homey meals. And it's because of our partnership and because of her willingness to support you guys by giving you good food. She's published over 4,000 recipes. Is I had the secret ingredient. Yeah, I had Mary.
You did.
Well, Dr. McDougall, every time Linda meets somebody, the first 4 words out of her mouth are Dr. McDougall saved my life. So
right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Linda. And Dr. McDougall, you're right about putting a potato on the cover of your book, because all great books have a potato on the cover.
But see, yours doesn't have a ruler that's pointing up from the potato that somebody could imagine is similar to a gesture that's offered in an unkind way. Do you see that gesture? That's a hand gesture that I'm offering to the public. If you don't know what I mean, the potato is the fist and the ruler is the finger.
I'm going to have to
figure it out.
I never thought of that. That is
well, you know what? I didn't intend to do it that way, but I figured it was a good statement as far as my communication with people who wouldn't budge. Is you know, you guys.
Subliminal marketing. So we have 2 more success stories, and we still have another group to bring on, your friends and family, which we're saving for last. So please welcome Zena.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Zena.
Hi, Zena.
Hi, Dr. McDougall. Hi, Mary.
I just wanted to wish you such a happy birthday, Dr. McDougall. You are, everybody's taken all the good words. I have no good words left.
Right.
You are just so kind and so generous. And like so many other people, you did save my life, because I met you for the first time. It'll be 18 years on June 3rd when I first attended the McDougall 10-day program for the first time. And then since then, I've been back so many times. And I loved it. I just always felt so happy when I was there. I'd walk into the lunchroom, into the dining room, and it would be my food, my people. It was just such a wonderful place to be and to learn all the great information. And, I've lost about 100 pounds and a little over 100 pounds. But the thing is, maybe even more important than that, is when I first arrived, I was 40 years old and I was on 7 prescription medications. You took me off 6 of them the very first day I was there. And lo and behold, all my conditions started to reverse immediately. By the end of the first week, my cholesterol dropped 51 points. My blood pressure, which was sky high while on 2 medications, came back down to normal. And it just kept getting better. I got off, I had heart disease. I got off my nitroglycerin, so I had no more chest pains. My diabetes my type 2 diabetes reversed. I got off of metformin and my blood sugar was normal by the end of the week. And it's been normal for 18 years. Every time I have blood work done, it's smack dab where it needs to be. So the weight loss was great. And I don't know if you can see this or not, but you took the picture of me in the white. That was my first 10-day program with you. So it's made such a huge difference in my life. I've turned on friends to your work. I bought books for so many friends. You've saved several of my friends from having to have surgery. And just thank you so much for all you guys do. You're both so generous with your time, and just very, very happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, Zena's played a big part in our life. She did a lot of work for us on the website and created that banner, the rotating banner, which is, would you rather have obesity or oatmeal? And so Zena did that. And I also remember you coming to Costa Rica with us, didn't you?
I did. I loved Costa Rica. I mean, what a great trip, because where else could you go and not worry about the food, just and not have to bring it with you? I mean, that's what I kind of do. If I go somewhere, I bring my food with me. But what a great trip. And the food was fabulous. The people were fabulous. The events were, the little trips were great. Everything. It was just such a beautiful place and such a great group of people to spend the time with.
Well, we miss that. And we also miss the interaction you talked about that the residential program gave, meeting all the people and so on. And we worked hard to bring back a very personal experience for people who take the telemedicine, telehealth program. And we started out, we're doing this for the last 3 programs, and that is we have people meet at 6 a.m. in the morning, but of course, sometimes it's 6 p.m. at night in Europe. And they meet and they just kind of get together and talk to each other, and they found that extremely rewarding. But that was the only thing I felt we were missing when we had to go from a residential program to a telemedicine program, was this personal interaction. And we're finding that just like everything else about the shift, this is so much more effective to have the internet as a medium for sharing with each other and medical care and in-house support from our support staff. It's just been an amazing experience to do that. And I heard your enthusiasm for meeting folks, but I think we've solved that particular problem.
Yeah, it was, and I think people, one of the things that I think is really neat about the internet program, I haven't gotten to participate in it myself, but I can imagine one of the difficult things when you go anywhere to a conference or to a residential program is you're away from your environment. If you can learn how to do it at home, which is what your program is helping people do now, they're in their own environment, and if they can make it work from day one, right, I think they're going to, find that level of success, because it's, sometimes you go there and then you come home, it's like, oh, now I've got to set up my place to kind of resemble what it was before. So I think this is filling a whole other need, that what you guys are doing now. And bravo to you both and your entire staff for being able to make that switch so well. And I've read reviews about the program, and it sounds great. I mean, it's wonderful that you guys were able to do it. Because this is such important stuff that you do. So it's great that you were able to make that transition.
as I say, the COVID-19, although it was a terrible thing to most people in the world, was a very positive thing in getting us to close the residential program, which was twice as expensive as the program we run now, and to get some new tools. And I have to say, if like they're talking about, you don't have to wear masks anymore. If the COVID-19 thing ended, we would never go back to a residential program. We might run some residential weekends, that sort of thing, but we're never going to go back. It's so much more efficient for our staff and for the people and so on, so much more enjoyable to not have to leave the house. That we'll always do telemedicine programs. It's been, it's just been nothing but a positive success since we ran the first program in August.
Yeah, and we don't have to wear pants anymore.
Yeah, you noticed that, yeah.
Yeah. And Dr. McDougall, you may not know this, but again, it's like paying it forward. Zena's a coach in my program, and she's helping so many people because we call her Zenapedia, because everything you say, she knows.
All right.
I always say Dr. McDougall says, I preface almost everything I say. It's like, I link to your articles, to your videos all the time, because I can't say it better than the master. I mean, he just says it all.
Right.
I put everything I know down in writing and on video because, let's face it, I'm not going to be around for my 104th birthday.
You might be.
Say that, you never
ladies
know.
and gentlemen. And that's why, Mary and I felt it was so important to put everything down and in writing and on video, so that hopefully the message lasts, even if it doesn't resonate for the present world, and maybe it'll be something that the next world takes over, because there are some big changes coming, ladies and gentlemen, big changes. And you know that, but the way you get yourself ready is you get as healthy as possible. You get your food supply taken care of, and you learn a starch-based diet, and you're going to be prepared for a future that looks pretty scary. And you might as well get well now. It's just like with the COVID-19 thing. The COVID-19 thing, for people that have discovered it, if you eat this kind of diet, which eliminates comorbid factors like obesity and diabetes, we're virtually guaranteed not to suffer the need for hospitalization or a mechanical ventilator or to die. Only people with comorbid conditions, which are due to dietary, the typical American diet, they're the only ones that go on to die and hospitalized and mechanical ventilators. And so it's real today. It's not just the diabetes you've had for 20 years. It's real today in terms of this epidemic and whatever the next one is in terms of an infectious agent. And it just, the message has never been more relevant. And I really appreciate you getting these folks I've known for many years and gotten together with to show people what the movement is. This is big and it's important. And we need all of you involved too, to get the best future possible.
Great.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Zena. I really appreciate all you do. And I want to thank Fred B for his super chat donation. And before we bring on your family and longtime friends, we have one more success story to share. Esther, if you could, I'm asking you to unmute. Esther Loveridge, if you're here, this would be a great time to show us your beautiful face and tell us your story. I know that Dr. McDougall endorsed your book. Are you there, Esther?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me with the wind blowing? Well, this is wonderful. Well, Dr. McDougall and Mary, I'm just thrilled beyond measure to have this connection with you. It was almost 5 years ago, July 13th of 2016, that my friend supernaturally gave me your book, The Maximum Weight Loss, and it was the best program for me to follow. She knew it was the one for me, and I am just so thrilled. It's just wonderful to be here and say happy birthday and thank you for my life, for what you've done in my life. And I have to tell you a little joke about the boy who came in the middle of a storm into his parents' bedroom. He was scared, and they said, "It's okay, you can go back to bed." And he kept coming back, and finally they said, "It's okay, you can go back to your bedroom. Jesus is in there too." And he said, "Yes, I know, but sometimes I need Jesus with skin on." Yeah. And you and Mary are my skin on Jesus people. And it's just wonderful to embrace you, to take you into my life, and to have, I didn't even know I was sick. I knew I was fat and morbidly obese at 257. I had been 282 before, but I went on your program and lost 130 pounds. And then I found out I used to be sick. I had prediabetes, high blood pressure. I had thyroid issues. I had sleep problems. I had manic depressive problems. I had knees that were going to have surgery and replacement. If I had lost the first 70, I lost 130 and I did have to have my knees replaced. And my eyes, I had macular degeneration, macular pucker and exfoliation and cataracts. And now I see, and I've had my license plate taken, have my eyeglasses taken off my need to drive. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And so my husband tries to tame me down once in a while. He wants me to be a Dr. Lisle. I said, no, I'm a Dr. McDougall. So I'll just keep preaching the message everywhere I can, whether they want to hear or not, because little seeds get planted and they grow, just like your book. Many, many years later, your book was the one that met my need. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Esther. Yes. One of the things that you have to realize is that I never get tired of hearing these stories. People often come up to me and say, I'm sure you're tired of hearing this, but Mary and I really, we get so much enjoyment out of knowing we've helped people. The greatest reward in life is to help other people. And I feel sorry for people who don't understand that. Such a simple, basic human nature is to help other people. And what a gift we've been given to be able to help so many people. And it always feels good. And I appreciate all of your words.
Oh, I'm so glad I got to meet you 2 years ago in Santa Rosa.
Yes.
You just made the comeback and you signed my book, and then you endorsed my book. You know, it was from donuts to potatoes. So I feel so honored that I chose to have donuts and potatoes put on the cover, because Ben used to own donut shops and that's where we met. And so then we moved from eating donuts every day to learning the joys of the potato. So thank you. It's just a wonderful life. And now, since I started doing your program, someone said I should start a group on Facebook. And I thought, oh no, I just need to tell people to read Dr. McDougall's and listen to the podcast. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. Watch Chef AJ, listen to Doug Lisle and Dr. Lim and Jeff Novak, the whole team. And when I felt pressured to start a group, I did. And we just passed the 8,900 member in our little group. Wow. So everyone will be watching this today. I've posted this video on every group on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
And there's just, I wish I had a bigger microphone.
I never realized, that you had that much influence. You've done so well. Thank you for sharing that. It makes me feel good. Makes me feel good.
It's just growing every day.
I hope so.
And now my diabetic brother is finally listening to me and calling me teacher. And he's 86 and it's never too late. I was 72 before I learned about you. Yeah. And I'm 77 now and almost qualified to be a speaker. I think I read somewhere you have to be on the program 5 years to be worth listening to.
All right. Well, that's great. I have no doubt with your energy that you're going to make a big difference.
Oh, it's the word. It's your word. It's that simple. And I have to say one more thing. Since I wrote my book, I send all of my royalties to you so that you could help teach other doctors this way. And it is a pleasure. And Linda Middlesworth taught me a lot when she told me the story about you not coming for money. And so you're my role model with that too. I want to pay it forward. And so I came to your seminar because I wanted to pay it forward. And then I took your class on the starch solution because I wanted to pay it forward. And now with my book, I can pay it forward. And now I'm going to write a second book, including even more how-tos. And my whole life has changed because of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I used to think, since I'm not charging for lectures, that the people who put on the event probably shouldn't charge either, and make it available to the public, because there were only certain speaking events that I would charge for, and many of them I didn't. I felt it was my obligation to lecture, to teach people. So good, thank you.
Thank you so much, Esther. And we're going to bring up the family now. Dr. McDougall, I understand your position of wanting to give stuff away for free, but when we do a conference, it can be really expensive to rent a venue, and not all of us have
AJ, we didn't run our Costa Rica adventures for free. We didn't run our 12-day live-in program for free. We still don't. So there's certain things that we feel, we have to make a living too. Yeah. But the basic knowledge, the basic understanding, it should be free. I think should be available to everybody. And it's interesting that, you know, a lot of folks have opinions about who will change and who won't change. And I haven't been able to figure that out. You know, people who are economically deprived, who don't have the kind of education that you and I have, they hear this message and they're able to understand it, and they have self-worth and they do it. Then they get these big rich people who have lots of education and so on, and somehow they can't figure it out. So I've always thought it was important to send it out to everybody and not make any judgments as to who's going to listen to you, who's not. And, you know, I know it's come up a couple of times as to why I didn't attend a lecture that was, or I asked it to be free, because I was giving my time for free. And I hope the other speakers were too.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. McDougall. And we have some old friends. I don't want to mean they're old. I mean, they've been friends for a long time. But maybe they are old. I don't know. I'll let them decide. But please join us, Larry and Ann Wheat and Heather. Please join us as well. Dr. McDougall, your two sons had to work, but we do have a video message from them, which we'll play at the very end when we say goodbye. And by the way, your grandsons are absolutely adorable.
Yeah. Hey, Ann, Larry. These are some of our best longtime friends. And with that, well, I'm going to let Ann tell. I'm sure she wants to tell how we met.
Well, I want to wish.
Wait, your camera's not on, Larry and Ann. Your camera is not on. You've got to start your video, okay?
Where? Okay. Oh, okay. I'm
right,
sorry. Yeah.
Right there.
There. Nope.
There you go.
We're on. Yeah. Well, first of all, happy birthday, John.
Thank you, Ann.
We've celebrated many of them with you. Long time. We go way back to our Hawaii times. We met you in 1979. You had just barely started your practice. Celebrated many of them. Long time. At the time, I was looking for a doctor that would help me get off medications for a simple problem. And someone suggested you had just started your practice. And what you said made sense to me. And so we followed you all this time. It was as simple, mainly getting off of dairy. And that was interesting because I grew up in the dairy industry. My dad was a milk processor and I worked as a soda jerk, scooping ice cream cones and making sundaes and sodas and milkshakes and so forth. So it was a real turnaround, and especially for my family to learn I was getting off of dairy. But I hung in with you because what you said made sense, John, and it has over the years. We've noticed major differences, and you've been there when we've had emergencies. So we've had a long haul. We've also had wonderful pleasure trips with you. Our McDougall adventures, I think I counted up and we had done 30 some trips. You had done 38 trips. We had done about 23 of them or more. Anyway, that was over 23 years, excuse me. But that was fun because we did everything from, you know, going into the jungles and the tropical forests in Costa Rica and Guatemala, to Hawaii and Alaska. Many adventures that were just fun and brought many people together from all over the world to share your message. But it was exotic too. We went to Rio de Janeiro for carnival time. So that was out of the forest into the exotic. That was a fun thing. But these were all fond memories, as well as the stability you gave us when we were fighting the medical world and they wanted to do things to us that we felt that doesn't sound like McDougall to approve. And you said, give us a call. You said, Ann, get out of there right now. And these doctors in the room said, where are you going? I said, my doctor says I don't have to stay here. I left. He said, my blood pressure had come down. It did. And you had a very calm way of speaking to me, settling my fears, and onward we went. And it just gained more confidence in you and less confidence in the medical field that I had to deal with. So thank you so much, John and Mary, for all these wonderful years of pleasure and being there for medical emergencies and guiding us. It's been great. You helped us. You were an influence on us becoming owners of a vegan restaurant too, which became #1 in the world, Millennium, which we've retired from now. But anyway, thank you so much and wishing you a happy birthday again.
I say sincerely that these are our closest friends, Ann and Larry. And would you mind telling people how old you are? Because I always use you as an example.
86 going 87, and Larry is going
89.
Wow.
89 this year.
Yeah, and Larry, you're out, riding your bike and going all over doing everything. I mean, you are an example for me.
Right.
And,
We're very fortunate that we met you in Hawaii, because at our age, we'd probably be dead from now if we didn't get on the McDougall plan.
Yeah.
And as Ann said, we really enjoyed all of the adventures that we did with you. And thank you very much for being my scuba diving partner. Even though some of our ventures were scary, like coming back from Bat Island, the waves were so big, I thought we were going to drown.
Yeah. Well, the sharks didn't get you. The sharks didn't get you, Larry. So
yeah, when we went to the Great Barrier Reef, John had a new underwater camera. He wanted me to go down and turn my back on these sharks while he took a picture. And needless to say, there is no photograph of me ever doing such a thing. But anyway, thanks again, for taking care of us all these years, and giving us great memories of all the trips and things that we've done with you.
Well, the fun was mutual, Larry and Ann. I mean, as I say, you guys have been real good friends, close friends for many years. And we've had a chance to do trips with you and eat at your fine restaurant, and look forward to many, many enjoyable. In fact, I was planning on asking you if you had time to get together for a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Well, I'll get in touch with you.
Yeah. Good. Thank you and happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Ann. And thanks for the card, Ann. I got the card. Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you so much, Larry and Ann. I miss you. Take care. So, Dr. McDougall, do you realize how many lives you've touched?
Well, you're giving me some idea, and I really appreciate it. I love to hear the consistency of the message, that people interpreted me the way I wanted to be interpreted, and it makes me feel good, to say the least. AJ, thank you.
You're so welcome. So, as I mentioned, everyone invited pretty much has shown up, with the exception of your sons who are working. We'll play the video message at the end.
Sure.
The only one that doesn't seem to be here, and I've been texting him, is Dan Butner. So maybe he'll join, maybe he won't, but I do want to say something funny. When we first had this idea a couple months ago and Mary and I were coordinating it, I sent out an email to everybody, and I said, would you like to don't breathe the word surprise party for Dr. McDougall. And Dan Butner wrote me back, and I don't know why nobody else saw this. He goes, boy, this, because I didn't put the date. And he goes, I guess this party really is a surprise. So I had to send a corrected email with the date. And today really is your birthday. And so, of course, we save for last the two beautiful women in your life, one who's been sitting beside you this whole broadcast, Mary, and of course, your daughter, Heather. Now, Heather, this has been a love fest, which is great, but I want some dirt on Dr. McDougall. I want some embarrassing moments. I want something funny to end with.
Oh, geez.
No, I was thinking about that, and we've had such a journey, Dad. I mean, when I was 16, I was the rebel. I would get in trouble, and if you would have told me that I'd be running your business 30 some years later, I would have said you're crazy. And it's been such a great journey, and like I've heard you mention, COVID has been a terrible thing, but one of the good things that has come out of it is just the relationship that you and I have developed. I mean, we are, a state away, but we've just spent so much time online together. It's just been awesome. So thank you, and happy birthday.
Thank you. Really rewarding for me too. And Heather's done an amazing job at taking over the clinic. I don't do anything. I mean, she puts a dime in me and I just perform. So otherwise, she's running the whole clinic, and the compliments she well deserves. And I had faith in you always, Heather, even when you were 16 and getting in car accidents and all kinds of problems. I knew what kind of a person you were, and your mom and I put an awful lot of work into you. So I'm not surprised. I just wondered why it took so long. A virus and a pandemic. No, it didn't really. You worked for us for the last 15 years. So, but the pandemic has really, catapulted our relationship and our time together. So that's been a real nice side effect.
So Dr. McDougall, are you going to sell the practice to Heather for $1 like you did Dr. Shintani?
She already owns it, and she got it for less than that. Yeah, believe me, she made out like a bandit as far as the COVID-19 experience goes. I can't tell you the number of things she's gotten and will get. So, but she deserves it. So why not? You know, we love our children, our grandchildren, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure they have a good life. And so we've been there to help, and they've been there to help us. And I understand as you get older, you depend more upon these folks. Now, don't forget how much help Mom and I gave you as time goes on, Heather.
Never.
Make sure we get in the right assisted living facility. And except if I take the example of Ann and Larry, they're still in their home. You know, Larry's almost 90. Good grief! If I could be 90 years old and as functional as these two are, you know, I'd keep doing it.
Yeah.
And it's as I say, you're a real big example for me, both of you, and I know your health history too. And you didn't get this by accident. It was a pretty traumatic ride, Larry, especially the trips to the doctor's offices with you, and telling them you're not going to do this to Larry. Unless you can tell me some darn good reason to do it, you're not going to do it. Leave him alone. True, Larry, we spent time together in the doctor's office.
So Mary.
Oh, sorry. Well, I was just going to say, Dad, I've been hearing all these people talk about how you've changed their lives, and, you've done the same thing for me and my family, and you're the one I come to for advice on anything. And I've always looked to you for support and comfort. And all those days when we were on a sailboat and I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to die, I would just look at you and you'd look calm and so I'd say, okay, if Dad's not worried, I don't need to be worried. Same thing when we were flying. So you've always been a source of comfort for me. So thank you.
Well, I've been able to put on a good face, Heather. Some of those days when we were flying together, I wasn't so sure, but thank goodness they, the myth that a doctor and a baron equal death wasn't something that happened to Mom and I, because we really learned how to be great pilots. And we also learned how to handle a sailboat. And we took you and your brother across the oceans, and particularly across the Hawaiian Islands, where we'd, have whales next to our boat, and we'd sing, and we'd pet them, and, unbelievable experiences we had together. I can't, it's hard for us actually to think about those days in Hawaii, because they were such wonderful times that we had. And of course, we miss them. We won't be able to do it again. But we're still having fun. We're having a really good time, thank goodness. And it's just a matter of adapting to this new age. Mid-70s, my goodness, I didn't know anybody lived that long.
Hey, so Mary, is there anything you can say to Dr. McDougall or about Dr. McDougall that hasn't been said and people want to know? Is there a special meal plan for him today? And if so, what is it?
I get leftovers, don't I? I get leftover enchilada casserole.
Well, he gets his enchilada casserole, which is one of his favorites.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can say about him is that I love him. Yeah. I've always loved him.
That's not true. But she fell in love with me as time went on. I kind of wore on her.
That's not true.
That's not true. Well, let's just good thing you're a very patient person, Mary. All I know is that otherwise would have never lasted. But it's your ability to.
Yeah, he told me that yesterday. If I weren't so patient, I would have left him a long time ago.
Yeah. When we married,
that's really not true. It's not true.
When we got married, I promised her that she would never be bored. You may not always be happy, but I guarantee you, Mary, you're never going to be bored. And have you ever been bored?
I've never been bored.
Oh man, we've had such a great time. Sailboats, airplanes.
Isn't your a big anniversary coming up in January?
50. Yeah, we've been married 50 years.
Wow.
Hardly seems like it though. I just tell you folks that aren't our age, and some of you past our age, is that life does continue in your 70s and 80s, and it can be really great. And there were some times right after the fire when I wasn't quite sure that life continued. It was pretty tough on us. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you now that we've recovered. from that traumatic event. And we're really looking forward to the next 10, 15, 20 years and being, not only active, but even better than we were before. I think at times that I write better and I speak better than I ever have. Don't windsurf as good as I used to, but you can't have everything.
Well, a lot of the doctors stayed on a very long time, Dr. McDougall, but some had to leave. But I'm going to put it in gallery mode. Anybody that's left here, if you'd like to unmute, we can just wish Dr. McDougall a very happy birthday, maybe sing to him, and then I'll play the very short video of the message from his sons. And we can see who's left. There should be more than that. It says 12 people, but I guess some people don't have their camera on. You would have to unmute yourself to be heard, Zena and Dr. Shintani. And I think Gustavo, you might still be there if you are. And let's just, and everybody at home, let's just say, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dad. Or John and Dad. Happy birthday to you. Thank you to all the wonderful speakers for being here. Dr. McDougall and everyone, please just hang on for one moment. I am going to, not the best screen share, I'm going to just share a very short, it's like a minute long video from Dr. McDougall's sons who were unable to join us today. And I want to thank everyone for being here. And I want to thank you, Dr. McDougall. You are a legend. So please enjoy.
All right, thank you.
Yes, please enjoy this short video.
Yeah, thank you, AJ. I mean, if I don't give a chance to tell you, this is the most memorable.
Oh wait, shoot! Of course it's playing an ad. Wouldn't that happen just now? Why does this do this, YouTube? Oh my goodness gracious! I'm so sorry, guys. Just give me a second. I'll be able to skip it. She's getting a lot of free advertising. I put it on a private YouTube channel. Oh my God!
Without having to count calories.
How do we get rid of the ad?
Starve yourself. Spend all day.
Oh my God! Here we go.
Happy birthday, Dad. It's great to see your passion and enthusiasm to continue to grow to help others.
Happy birthday, Dad. We miss you and we hope you're having a great day.
Happy birthday, Grandpa. Happy birthday, Grandpa.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
I'm an eater of potatoes. I eat potatoes every day. They're the reason that I am so trim, and this is what I get to weigh. Hey, 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 John McDougall has a plan based on carbohydrates. If you eat them, you'll be thin and won't have ass or thigh weight. John McDougall, he's the man who's as smart as Play-Doh. Eating starch will make you thin. Just eat a damn potato.
Well, without a doubt, this will be the most memorable birthday that I've ever had. I'm honored. I have to say it may be the most memorable celebration of the work I've done. It probably is. Thank you very much, AJ.
Oh, it is my pleasure. And Dr. McDougall, thank you so much for what you do. And Mary, thank you for help coordinating. And Dr. McDougall, I know you probably wanted to give a presentation, which didn't happen. So please come back anytime. And thanks all of you for being here and watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific when my guest is probably the world's youngest YouTuber. He started his channel at the age of 1. I think he's maybe 2 or 3 now, and he's going to be cooking whole food plant-based on the show tomorrow. Enjoy your day, Dr. McDougall. Happy birthday.
AJ. Thank you, all you folks out there. I really appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.